my speed build for Candidly Kayla's 11 Shell Challenge. I love shell challenges. They help me to become a better builder. With every shell challenge, I learn something new, and I find that I'm getting better at building. My first shell challenge compared to now, there's a great deal of growth, and I love it. So with this shell challenge, we had to work on a trailer. I have absolutely no idea what I want to do for the trailer, which is why I'm working on landscaping. One of the rules said we had to have a pond. I don't use terrain tools, so this is the skill I worked on with this build. I created the pond and realized we're gonna need a lot of debug for this, so we put in some cheats. BB.show hidden objects and BB.show live edit objects are a builder's best friend, especially if you're working on a shell challenge or a build you want to keep with a low budget, because most debug items are free. And if you have eco lifestyle, you can find an extremely cheap bed and TV in your debug item. So we're working on landscaping. We got trees. It has to be where the neighbors can't see you. So I need a lot of foliage. I need a lot. And I chose the top lot on Hemford at Bagley because of the scenery. When you view out from this, you're like on the top of a hill. Your neighbors are extremely far away. So I thought that fit the tone of the build that she was looking for. I'm going through debug, grabbing things that I think will fit near this pond. Again, I have no photo for reference. I'm just like, let's clutter this pond up with a lot of bushes and make it look pretty. While brainstorming on what to do with that trailer in the back. Still no idea. Stuff is coming to me, but it doesn't match this landscaping. I thought about doing an introvert, conspiracy theorist type, aliens are coming, paranoid, old man, but then that needed Strangerville and a whole nother set of items. It wouldn't fit on this lot. And typically I build 2 or 3 items with her shells, and then I just choose the one I like best. But I didn't make it to the Strangerville build. I started it, but I didn't finish it, because this one, once I got going, it was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. You still see I'm going through debug, putting mushrooms in, finding a fence. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do, but I liked that this fence had a broken piece which worked around the fallen log. I thought that was really pretty. And it fit. Like, you're up at the top of this hill. This lot is off the grid. It has the Simply Living Lot Challenge. It's very eco-friendly. Originally, I built it for like an old woman living off the grid, honey making, gardening, that type of vibe. But then I had to demolish all of that, and I went with a more, not luxury, but more eco-friendly. It looked more pricey, and that was the vibe I was going for. It was like, I want to get away, I want to take a vacation here, but I want to still be one with nature, meditate, bathe out in the woods type vibe. So that's what I went with. I do a lot of trial and error, because again, I don't have a reference photo, so I'm just like, what looks good? I want privacy, but I want nature to really be the feature in this build. There's the trailer, which is great, but I really want whoever is here, their time is spent outside. The trailer is very, very small. You don't want to be cooped up in there all day, so we have to make the outside be entertaining. A picnic area was required. We'll do that later. There was no room inside for me to put a bathtub. However, some other people who did this shell probably were able to get a full bathroom inside. And if you want to see the rest of these, all the other entries, go check out Candidly Kayla's Twitch channel. She does shell tours every other Monday, sometimes every 3rd Monday, depending on her schedule and what she's got going on. But they're on her, backlog? What's the name of the videos when you go back? They're on her old playlist where you can see all of the shell builds. I like watching other people because I learned some things. Like, okay, yeah, I can try that, I can do that. So I'm just going in here trying to find a bed. I want deep wood tones. I know I want something deep and dark. I love the new pack home decorator. I think it's one of the best game packs as far as stuff that came with it. Just, it didn't really fit in this build, so I didn't use it. I really wanted to use that middle bed or the first bed. My favorite flower is sunflowers, so I love that first bed. And I was like, okay, well, let's see what we can do. And I'm thinking to myself, but it's not dark wood, but maybe we can make it work. Let's see if we can find some dressers to match these 3 beds. That pink bed was pushing it because the headboard is so high and it's a slanted roof. While the sim will be able to lay in the bed, they'll technically be cutting through the roof to do so. So I was like, nah, we'll go with this one right here with the dark headboard, this matching dresser. It looks slightly used, but not like city living where the cabinets are like really dinged up. This just looks like it was well loved, like it was passed down from generation to generation, and I like that. I like that what is it, Airbnb type vibe that it was giving off. Loved it. I eventually switched that to the other wall because I have trouble putting in staircase. I couldn't get a staircase in here. I had to go ladder, but that's fine. In some tiny homes, which I did tour tiny homes once I decided to go with this build, some tiny homes have really steep stairs, and I wish the Sims would have steeper stairs or allow you to change the steepness of stairs. But this one didn't, so we ended up using a ladder. Here you see me struggling to find a front door. I want something brown. I'm loving the door that came with Oasis, but it's not a front door. I love that sliding door that came from, I think that was Snowy Escape, but it might have been Home Decorator. I ended up using that as a back door, which I didn't intend to have a back door, but then I was like, you put a tub back there. Do you want to walk from the front door all the way around the house in your towel with your bum out? You really don't. So just let's put a door back there. Here I'm working on the kitchen. I typically don't use these countertops. I did when I first got the game because I thought they were the bee's knees. But as we've gotten more counters, I tend to use Island Living are my favorite counters. I love the waterfall on the edge, and I love that you can take gallery art and change the paneling in the front. So essentially, I'm just using it for the waterfall. I wish we could get more cabinets with that waterfall feature on the side. I love it. Here I'm trying to pick out what we're gonna do for cabinets for uppers. I figure with this being an Airbnb type vibe, you really want open cabinets. You want everything open so you can see, so that when the people come in and clean afterwards, it's just open. You don't have to do too much dusting. You see me knock out a wall so we can add some shelves here. I used 2 different color shelves so I can make sure that they were even, and then I made them the same color afterwards. I figured that when I used to do that and they would be the same color, I'd get done, put the wall back, and they wouldn't be even, and it'd be like, oh, now I gotta keep beating this wall out to try to get it together, where if you use 2 different colors, it match really well. I also love the Immaculate Shelf. It is my favorite shelf in the entire game. Only thing I hate is it doesn't have any way to attach it to the wall. It's just on the wall. There's no brackets underneath. There's no anchoring, which is fine, but it's like in real life, your shelves have some kind of way to attach themselves to the wall. And I've sat TVs and radios and all kind of stuff on the Immaculate Shelf. So I've learned to take these bracket things and shrink them down like all the way and use them as anchors for the shelves, and it gives them a more realistic look. I love those bar stools right there, but I ended up going with something else. I love Star Wars. I love the Star Wars pack. I think as far as build buy, it has amazing build buy things if you're looking to go post-apocalyptic, dingy or grungy, or even industrial. It has some really nice items in there. I love it. I know people aren't a fan, but I love it. I am not a huge Star Wars fan. I've watched the movies. I know some stuff because one of the kids in my class is a huge Star Wars fan. I do celebrate May the 4th, but the gameplay was okay. I played it with my Super Sim. It was okay. It got a bit repetitive, trying to meet all the aspirations, but it wasn't awful. if my gameplay didn't dictate I go to Batu, I wouldn't. I do like some of the dishes you could cook. I do like some of the clothing items. They could be worn with everyday clothes and still look nice. But again, I'm in love with the build buy items. I love it. My favorite stone flooring in the entire game is from Journey to Batu. And it didn't get as much love as it should have gotten. So here you see me fooling around with flooring. I know I want dark wood. There's that beautiful stone floor I was telling you about. Chef's kiss. Amazing. Perfect. I like this floor, but it didn't fit the cleanness of the build. Where that floor was kind of knotty, it would have been perfect for more of a cabinet feel, where this was more of an upgraded cabinet type feel, so we needed sleeker floors. This is an off-the-grid lot, so you see me struggling to find off-the-grid plumbing. I did sort and go to the off-the-grid plumbing to see what we had. Thankfully, Island Living has some really great stuff. And then there's that tub from Show Hidden Objects. I think if you get your handiness skill up really high, you can make that tub and toilet. So that's what I ended up using. The house is really dark brown. For some reason, I've been into brown lately. I don't start off building brown, but I think this build was brown. The spa wasn't brown, but Mortimer's penthouse was very brown. But it was brown because I found that backsplash for the kitchen, and everything went off of that. But it looks very warm and inviting. I have huge windows with no curtains because, again, we're at the top of a hill. No one can see us. That's the whole point of the build. And you want to let in the light and make the home, feel more open. Here you see me trying to customize a sink. I used the Island Living sink, and I shrunk down 2 of the Home Decorator cabinets. I'm trying to put together some kind of custom type cabinet. I couldn't get 3 there. Those things snap so funny that I couldn't quite master it. So I ended up putting a shelf above and below to make it look like it was shelving. I added teeny tiny shelves, the Immaculate shrunken down to this mirror to make it look like an actual medicine cabinet. I think it should have came with that because that open space on the side is perfect for storing stuff. It's like you got the mirror, then you got your clutter. It's perfect, but they didn't. So we just stuck some shelves in there and made our own cabinet, and it looked really great. There's those floors. Love those floors. Oh, love those floors. We put a glass door on the shower because open showers mean your bum gets cold. Nobody wants a cold bum. We are adding lights around the place because I'm remembering we're off the grid and we're not going to be able to see when it gets nighttime. So you see me shrinking down stuff and putting it on this stool like a table, because I figure if you're sitting in this tub outside and you're relaxing, one with nature, you just want to reach over and bathe. The tub is next to a well where you can supposedly, quote unquote, get your water. Adding some toilet paper, just some bathroom clutter to make the bathroom look more realistic. There's the door. We used the Oasis door there. I get that it has glass, but remember where it's open. This is an Airbnb away from everyone. It's letting in some light because that's a pretty dark bathroom, but it worked. I liked it. And typically I don't do dark bathrooms, but I liked the way this looked. You're going to see me struggling to figure out what to do for this living room because one of the criteria was it had to have a TV. And I was like, we're off the grid. I don't need a TV. But it had to have one. Just because we have one doesn't mean it needs to work. So we don't need an expensive TV. So this is where that eco lifestyle comes in handy. It has those ones that you can find when you dumpster dive for like $25. Same for the bed. You have a really cheap bed and it's not uncomfortable, weirdly enough. Takes you a minute to get some sleep on it if you don't have dance machine, but still, if you're ever in a bun, in a tight snatch for some sleep, get you one of them beds. I'm trying to make a console here to put the TV on. The home decorator's not working. The wood tones don't match. I kind of like this that I have going, but I didn't like that the top had that light paneling where the bottom of the Immaculate shelf was just dark. And I'm like, I can't quite figure this out. Let's see what we're gonna do. Then we hit the rugs. And I'm like, well, let me fool around with some rugs first and maybe something will just come to me. And then I decide, well, we're gonna use the fireplace because shrunken down, it fits right under the window, which is perfect, great. So we're gonna do this zigzag custom shelf. Now, we're not going to leave those floating on the wall, and unfortunately, I don't think anchors are realistic in this one, so we're going to add some poles later. If you see me going through debug and realizing we got a bush, might as well put one of those outside, because I'm not sure if you can woohoo upstairs. You might actually need that bush if you want to create some little sims or some boo-boos. We're putting books and stuff on this shelf. I love overlaying the books to create a custom book set. I think it looks really pretty. It looks lived in. I'm looking for clutter to put on the shelves. I love that fish tank from Snowy Escape. I think it's really pretty. It's square, so it fits in a lot of like weird nooks and crannies. I think the heating machine would have been nice here, but it's off the grid, so it would have just been for like aesthetic purposes, like, oh, it's just there. I don't think you could actually use it. You see me trying to clutter up things, so as I'm going through clutter and finding what I need, I'm jumping to that particular room in the house. So I'm everywhere. I'm going from the kitchen to the living room to the bathroom to upstairs. If I find it and we can use it, I'm slapping it down where it goes, at least one copy of it. Because you can always go back and just shift key and make more. But that way I'm like, oh yeah, there's that. Because I'll forget and won't come back and get it. There's so many times my builds were toured and I was like, oh, I meant to go back and get such and such and such and such to put right there, but I didn't. So I'm trying to make a habit of, when I find it, at the very least, sit it outside on the grass. So when you do your final walkthrough, you're like, oh yeah, it's a bowl of fruit in the front lawn. Let me put that where it goes. I love this shelf from Tiny Living, but I hate the swatches it comes in, so I customize it by using the Immaculate Shelf. I'll find the bars that I want, and then I use the Immaculate Shelf in whatever color I want to change the shelf, because I wanted it to be all black. And here you see me using the Immaculate Shelf, as PC players use the infamous red shelf CC. It will allow you to precisely place things that slide on shelves. If it doesn't slide on a shelf, you can use that cube shelf from Home Decorator. That also slides really well. Those two are two things I put in every build so that I can properly slide and level things where I need them, on top of fridges, on top of microwaves, things that don't normally sit on other objects. I can use those items to put it on an object and it be remotely level. It's one of the greatest things I've ever found. It's my number one trick. It keeps most items from floating. You might get a little floatage, but it's not like grotesquely floating where you're like, oh man, that just sucks, it blows. This way it's like, it's really nice. So if you play on console or you're a PC player that does not use the red shelf, use the Immaculate Shelf. Or if you have Home Decorator, use the cube shelf. It's a game changer. Here I'm fooling around. I always put the umbrella thing in the house. I always put it by the door, because I feel like you come in, you put your umbrella down. But the way this trailer is built, it's really small. And I like that. That was the challenge in this one, because we didn't have a budget. Those walls are from Journey to Batuu, but I love them because they look like they were just put in, but messily, but on purpose. Kind of like when people have like those splash or popcorn ceilings. That was the vibe it was giving me, and I love it. I love it. Honey is not in the debug menu. You cannot debug find honey. However, there's a person on the gallery, and I forgot who it was. If I can remember, I'll add it in the comments below. The person put all excellent honey on the shelf and saved it to the gallery, or just gallery, just type in honey. That way, when you want to make the honey cake and you don't feel like dealing with the bees to get the honey, just plop that down and you got honey. I started putting honey in like all my builds because I love the honey cake, but I never ever want to make honey. I just don't like dealing with the bees. I don't. So that's a lifesaver. If you play on console or a PC player who does not utilize the tool mod, one of the things I get when I build or someone is looking at my build is how I did something. Clearly I don't have any mods. Console player, I play on Xbox, but thankfully there are lots of kind souls on the gallery who have tooled items and saved them. One of my favorite tooled items is the glass floor paneling from Island Living. They make beautiful shower doors. custom glass doors because they're turned vertically. And I love it. I'm like, oh, there's so much you can do with this. And I use them in almost every build. They make really good room dividers, but if you play on console or you don't use the tool mod on PC, you can't turn your item. So thankfully, I like to sometimes search hashtag Twisted Maxi, hashtag tool, or just type in tooled and see what you get. And when I find things that are really awesomely tooled, I'll put them in a room and then just save the room to my library. So my library, the room section, is essentially like a whole bunch of turned and twisted items that I can use another way. Somebody even tooled shelves so that they slant. So if you place something on a shelf, it's at a slanted angle. I thought that was really cool. So I have like beams and floorings and chairs, and there's an ottoman I have that's flipped completely on its side, and it makes a really pretty headboard flipped that way. And I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. I have the ottomans and couch cushions flipped on their sides to look like pillows on your sofa. So that's just another tip and trick. Here you see me fooling around in the kitchen, just adding clutter. I want it like, for the tour, I want it to look like somebody just got there. So they are bringing their groceries in, they're setting up. I don't want it to look clean as if the person has left and the owners have come through and cleaned. I want it to look as if this is day one of me buying. This is me moving in. I've got groceries on the counter. We're gonna eat some sandwiches outside. Just have a lived-in clutter look. I love a lived-in clutter look. So you see me fooling around with all these items. I'm putting stuff around. I got tea out, cocoa out, because I mean, if you're in the house, you're cooking. That's what the house is for. You're not in the house to do anything else but eat. I mean, everything else can be done outside. There's no video games here. There's no radio here. Even the knitting, the cart is by the door. Like, grab your stuff and go outside and go knit. Go upstairs and sit on the balcony outside and do yoga. Sit outside with yourself and your thoughts, or your significant other, and have tea and, I don't know, talk about life. But that was the vibe I wanted to give off. So you see me moving counter shelves to free place items, because you know everything snaps to a counter. I love doubling up this dish rack because it makes it look bigger, like there's more dishes on it, and I like that. I love that glass pitcher. I think I put it in every build as well. It's up there next to the tea, alluding to the fact that you should probably make some iced tea. We have a picnic basket up there because you had to have a picnic spot. I got a couple pitchers, some dishes. If I was smarter, I would have placed those dishes a little more chaotically, but then that required like moving the shelf, deleting the wall, and I just didn't want to at this point. Sometimes I go back and I'll do it, but I'm like, I was really feeling the build at this point. I'm like, yes, this is what I want to do. Okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. So I don't stop too long to think about where I'm placing stuff. When I do my final walkthrough, I'll go through and change little things. This is the cart, and I love that they left some empty space on it so you can fill it with like random stuff. I've put dolls up there, bubbles. Here I put some balls of yarn. You saw me stick the knitting basket inside that other basket because to actually knit, you have to have a basket in your inventory. But that gives you something fun to do on this off the grid lot. Those are the pillows that someone has turned sideways that I can use as couch cushions. That's the headboard you see. That's one of my tooled rooms. Here you see me putting a yoga mat upstairs because you gotta have something to do on this pretty balcony. I end up putting a rocking chair there. I don't know why, but maybe you just want to sit out and wake up and just sit there before you go downstairs and start with your day. I've got this shower over here, and while this lot is very secluded, I thought more vines and foliage would be nice on the fenced area near the shower, just to give it a little more privacy. I mean, nobody's watching you, but it gives life to that whole, this trailer was put where the plants are. You know, those plants were here first, this foliage, this land was here first, this trailer was simply just plopped down, and it has become one with the surrounding nature. That's the vibe it gave me, and that's what I went off of. If I was showering, or bathing back there surrounded by all those plants, I could do so freely because, no one can see my nakedness. Here you see me adding stuff underneath the trailer because I wanted a lot of underbush growth. I thought it would be like, this trailer's been here a while, stuff is just grown under there. That way you can't see the wheels because I think the trailer didn't quite land on the frame that's underneath. And I didn't want it to be floating, but one of the rules said you can't raise a lower trailer. So by adding all the foliage underneath, it hides the fact that the trailer really isn't touching that frame. With the pond, I think I put some grass along the bottom. I typically don't, because before we had the pond tool, we were like using fountains and pools. So I never put anything at the bottom. So here I put grass and weeds. I think I even put some rocks down there to give it a more natural look and feel. Here I'm trying to clutter up the porch. I always double up plants because they're really thin in the game. The one that came with Home Decorator though is really nice. One of my favorites. And it's not so thin and it works really well. So I tend not to double that one. We got some off the grid laundry because why not? I mean, you're gonna go off the grid, be off the grid. We shrink down the broom, stick it to the side of the refrigerator by deleting that wall so it doesn't snap. Put the wall back, we're good to go. Remember, we need a trash can, shrink one down, put it there. Those light sockets in the game are not real. They're simply a small portrait of light sockets. I was looking for light switches and found the light sockets. They're listed under light switches. They're not switches, they're sockets, but I think it's a really pretty touch to the game. I like that I've seen some CCTVs that have the cord that come down like it's going into the wall. I mean, you really can't unplug it, but all more for the realism. Here we got some laundry going. You see me looking for a picnic table. I don't stick with that one. I ended up switching it to a Batu table. I put a lot of Batu in this build, which I'm not sure if Kayla got it yet. She might. I think I might annoy her enough to just go ahead and get it. But if she doesn't, items are going to disappear. But thankfully, she's so sweet that she'll just overlook that and just keep the party moving. But for you to download it and see all the cool stuff, you will definitely need to have Batu. But I think it's on sale. I know a lot of packs are half off for Xbox right now. PlayStation just had a huge sale. PC has sales all the time, but I have to take a look or ask my friend who sims. So here you see me putting some of those new pond features down. I put way too many, but I didn't want to go back and add more, so I just put what I thought I wanted, and I knew I would end up deleting some later. So here I'm setting the picnic table together. I want stuff in the basket. The basket is empty in the game. I think I haven't used that pack yet because my Super Simp has not gotten to those aspirations yet. So I think maybe when you actually use it, stuff comes out. I don't know. It's kind of like the fridge. When you open the fridge and you're making cereal, there's a bowl of cereal sitting on the counter in the fridge, but if you open it for salad, it's something else. So I think that may be how this basket works. So here I'm putting in some fruit. You see me place down, that's technically a note piece of paper, but it looks like a napkin. I'm putting sandwiches on the napkin. The basket is full. You see me using that shelf to properly place things because the sandwich, when on the table, goes halfway through the table. So some things, when they're level, aren't actually level. They need to be raised a bit, hence the shelf. So you see me going through looking for drinks. I want the table to look as if we were sitting out here having a good time. I think I typed in soda. Snowy Escape came with some really good sodas, so we're going to put those out. I love the fizzy drinks from Eco Lifestyle. My favorite is the honey one. I love it. There's a garden here because if you're going to rent this place, you might want to live off the land. That's the whole intent of coming up here, is not to be bothered. I assume they would have a gardener who comes up here and assists you with this, or at least maintains it so that you can eat well, with your Simply Living challenge on the lot. What is that newest pack that came out? Cottage Living. I love the grass clutter it came with. Like, it'd be like clumps of little grass spread out everywhere. I love that because it's like, okay, I got some coming out of the concrete, but then there's still some coming out over here in the dirt. So it looks really nice. I love it. So What am I doing here now? Oh, I'm trying to frame that patch of grass because it looks weird. Like the grass is worn. I terrain tooled or painted enough to wear that down. I was gonna have a fountain sticking out of so it looked like water was running, but then I was like, no, don't do that. That's not cool. Don't do that. So we ended up getting rid of that. We're back upstairs. Oh, I'm adding lights upstairs because if you're sitting out here in the dark, you hear some sounds, you're gonna freak out. I would freak out. So that's another tooled item that you see right there. Those are I think that's from Eco Lifestyle. They're like the dividers, but someone turned them sideways, and I love using them as like a roof. I used them in this build I've been working on. It's a mansion. It's like $34 million. The floor plan's for real, but I fell in love with it. And every time a new pack comes out, there's something else I can add to the house. So I've been building on this house for like 6 months, but it's gonna be phenomenal when it's all said and done. And that was one of the things I used, those tool dividers sideways, to provide like a roof for a patio. It was really pretty. Here you see me fooling around and playing with stuff. There's me using the shelf to raise that appropriately to get it to sit on those towels. Just tidying up that back area, adding a little more foliage to everything so that it looks really hidden. It should be like your little garden oasis. All those shampoo commercials, this is the scene they want you to picture yourself in. That's what I was thinking when I was building it. I don't know about the weather in Hinford on Bagley, so I hope that it's warm. If not, you just won't be bathing in the wintertime. I didn't give any thought to that. I fell in love with the locale and was like, oh, this is perfect for if you don't want to be seen by your neighbors. We're gonna build here. And then I just started building. We're adding more foliage to the side of the house because remember, the landscaping, the environment was here first. The trailer is just a part of that. So that was the whole zhuzh we were trying to go with. Adding a lot of foliage to the fence because life has just grown around what was here. It's been here. It's gonna stay here. The foliage and nature are completely taken over. That stone tab over there on the floor is also from Journey to Batu, but I thought it fit. I think it looked good. If you were eating over there and walking, you might want to kick your shoes off and you'll have your feet on stone rather than in grass or dirt or whatever. We got the bird tree. I think I put some rabbits down just to have some stuff floating around the house and everything looking good. We're working on our pantry. Typically, I will use gallery art for pantry. There are some wonderful gallery artists out there who complete pantries, closets, shelving, just for aesthetic purposes. Obviously, it's non-functional. But the art has to be sized up twice, and it needed a 2x2 room, and this was a 1x1 room. So I ended up having to do the pantry myself, which is fine. It allowed me to use this door here and put that up. So you can see that we got some groceries there, but it's got some dry goods. We're doing all right. I put some knitting or cross stitching up on the wall. I like to make every build nighttime just to see, one, how it looks, and two, if I need to add any light. This place is going to be naturally dark due to the fact that it's off the grid. So you see me placing a lot of candles around the house to give it some light. It's actually lighter outside than it is inside. So if you'd like to download this build, head to EVL Joker on the gallery. And if you want to see this build and all the other shell tours, head to Candidly Kayla's Twitch channel. Until next time.